Hey everybody, I'm doing this video at the request of a viewer, how to properly engage slash disengage when there's a narcissist in a social club or social activity, something of importance. So common examples are things like like in your church or in your Boy Scout troop, or your bowling team, your running club, your bicycle club, your whatever club, your sewing circle, right? What to do when there's one in your group? Because unfortunately, so first of all, statistics say narcissism is on an incredible rise. 30 years ago, it was something like 10 to 20% of college students had some degree of narcissism. Now, recently, several years ago, is 70%, as in 70. It's amazing what selfie cams do for kids, right? So the level of narcissism is on the rise. Look no further than Facebook, look no further than the news, look no further than social media for evidence of that. It's becoming insane. So more and more, it's becoming unavoidable that you're going to be in contact with a narcissist, and going no contact isn't always an option if you aspire to have some sort of life and engage in some sort of activity, because it's quickly becoming no contact means becoming a hermit, because everywhere you go you're going to see one. So how do you navigate such situations? Now, I'm going to preface this with the fact that social situations and social interactions are incredibly nuanced, okay? There's no way one video on the internet can cover all the ground of all the different types of interactions, which is one reason why I love the comments so much, because people love to come in and tag on other scenarios and situations that I don't cover in the videos. So the comment section is great for community helping itself out and providing additional tips. So by all means, this is not a all-inclusive golden hammer of a video. But I think step number one starts with you, because what you need to do first and foremost is build the habits and build the traits within yourself that are naturally repellent to manipulators and abusers. And I've got a great video on that called 3 Ways to Easily Detox Your Life. So much of abuse and narcissism, so much of it depends heavily on their ability to choose the right victim, right? In other words, choosing their flying monkeys, choosing their supplies. They can't pick, the best supply, then they're going to be sunk, right? So you want to do the things that make you a bad candidate for a flying monkey and a bad candidate for a supply, but overall still a pretty good person, right? Just you've removed those possibilities from your general existence. So that's step one. Starts with you. If you don't have anything to offer narcissists, they leave you alone, and then life's easy. They really don't want anything to do with you. You're in the sort of the list of chess pieces not in play, right? The other thing, the next thing you need to do is learn to identify them. Learn to identify them. They're always easily identified. They're either at the top or they're at the bottom, because overwhelmingly, some of the favorite tricks they use is to be superior or to be a victim, right? So if they can't be superior, if they cannot validate that overinflated ego, then it's because of somebody else and they're a victim, okay? So look to the very top, look to the very bottom. That's where you'll find them. Either overtly, the guys that are in charge, okay, like the star player of the bowling team, right? If he's sort of loud and proud and can't handle losing, or if he's super competitive, watch for the people, the more covert ones are the ones who are constantly offering tips and advice and constantly trying to fix you. Like, hey, that was a pretty good role. You know what you could do better is blah, 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 right? It's good advice, right? But watch for the people that are just giving way too much advice all the time. Like, fuck, man, can I just roll my own bowling ball and hit the gutter? Because I love the gutter, because I suck, and I don't care about your stupid game. Why am I here? Right? So look to the top, look to the bottom, look to the people who are overly helpful and overly corrective. A good example I love to give also is like if you're hosting like a party, you say, hey, everybody, the Super Bowl's coming up. Thinking about having a party at my house. You want to come? And they say, yeah, I'd love to come. That sounds great. I tell you what, instead of your house, let's do it at my house because I just got the big screen TV, and I've got a bigger kitchen, and I've already got the grill set up, and I've got all of the picnic tables and all of that. I know you don't have any of that, but I mean, why don't we just have your party? You can have your party at my place, and I'm willing to do that, right? You say, well, no, I mean, I just want to have my party my way at my house. And, oh, well, okay, right? They kind of sort of get hurt by that. The other thing to look at it is whenever you say you're having your party at your place and they're like, oh, that sounds good. Is there anything I can do to help? Can I decorate? If you want, I can pitch in for the pay-per-view and then you can just pay me back later. Or, they come up and they become like your assistant kind of thing. And what they're really doing is they're sprinkling the me flakes, sprinkling themselves all over. It's like, I'm going to put some narc sprinkles on your party, right? So when people come over and they're like, oh, I love these napkins. They're so cute. Thanks. Yeah, I helped them put the party together. I got those at Party City. It's, Party City is this really fancy party store, right? But yeah, those people, they're looking to put their personal touch into your party covertly. And then what they're going to do is when people show up, they're going to be actively paying attention to what their contributions were and then what you did to the party. And then they're going to be quietly validating themselves based on whether or not people love the things they did more than the things you did, right? So these are just a few tips on how to identify, and I got to move on. But, step one, like I said, step one is get yourself fixed up so that you're just not attractive as supply or flying monkey to begin with. Step two, learn to identify them. Now, step three is learn navigating, the interactions. And there's all sorts of playbooks that they have. I have a narcissistic playbook playlist. There are 10 predominant manipulation tactics, but the actual library is in the dozens. But learn, at least at a minimum, learn the top 10 tactics, learn to recognize them, and then just learn what the countermeasures are. The great thing about narcissism and everything is if it's in a textbook, if it's a condition, well, then the antidote also exists in a textbook. So when you have a textbook situation, you can have a textbook solution. And that's what my NARC playbook playlist aims to accomplish. So you learn to recognize their tactics. You learn how to counteract those tactics. You get practiced. You get prepared. And then once you know who they are, it's easy to recognize when they've had influence on something, right? So you recognize who these people are. You recognize who their friends are and who's in their circle. And then you take inventory of who your friends are and who is in your circle. Overwhelmingly, there are two ways that narcissists in a group setting love to propagate their influence covertly, right? If it's overt, we've already discussed that, right? But there's a common tactic called a smear campaign. There's also what's the word I'm looking for? Being a man in the middle type manipulation. So, for example, you hear from your buddy that says, "Hey, so just so you know, Fred sounded like he was really pissed off, or Fred was saying that you promised to pay him back and didn't." I was like, "I paid Fred back." It's like, well, not according to Sammy. Why is Sammy involved? Sammy said he was talking to Fred and said that Fred said that you never paid him back. I don't know. So what you have now is you listen for the conversations of a dialogue of which this person was not part of, right? Sammy said Fred said to him, and then Sammy tells Bob, Bob tells you, right? So Bob says that Sammy said that Fred said. So you look for these multiple levels of removal, right? Because what they're doing is they're hiding, don't blame the messenger, don't shoot the messenger. Maybe, don't blame me just because, I'm relaying what I heard, right? So that's where they like to hide right there in that little safe little messenger space, right? The other thing that they love to do is if they know that somebody in their circle is close to somebody in your circle, then the order gets switched up just a little bit. Sammy tells Fred, Fred tells Bob, Bob tells you, right? So the order kind of changes up. But the one thing that you can tell when there's gossip and smear campaigning and all of this stuff going on is whenever you hear from someone who heard from someone who heard from someone who heard from someone, right? And in general, you only get that many levels of abstraction when somebody is intentionally fucking with you. So I'll say that again. You don't get multiple levels of abstraction when somebody is trying to fuck with you. So learn to recognize that. Because people normally, especially as adults, tend to take care of their own business or not. But either way, it's usually direct with you. The last thing I want to leave you with is this. What to do whenever a narcissist in a social situation directly calls you out for whatever, anything. Like it's basically they test you. They want to test you and diagnose you and see if you qualify as a flying monkey or a supplier, neither. So they put you into an oppositional position with some peer pressure, for example, calling you out in front of a group of people. And if you bow down, well, then you lose. If you fight back, well, then you lose, right? Now, narcissists are irrational people. So what do? You take the third route out, and you just go, I don't, if that's what you want to do, right? I've got a video on key phrases to win the fight and the argument. It's really like the second you engage it, win or lose, good or bad, that's the mistake. Okay, you have to never address it to begin with. You have to be like, I don't know, man. I don't control your feelings. It's like, if that's how you feel, okay. I'm fine with it. If that's how you feel, I'm fine with it. I don't control your feelings. So, that's a good one. Another one is whenever they come up to you with a victim story, right? And this is also a good test. They come up and they start telling you about this, that, and the other, and what a hard time they're having. And you listen, and you're like, man, that's really rough. I hope you get through it. I hope for the best, man. You don't offer to jump in and help or anything like that. And in one way, it sounds painful because, especially like in a church scenario, you're part of the culture is you help those in need, right? But the church is the conduit for providing the help, right? Not one-on-one directly. So like, I wanted to go tell the pastor, but I don't know, I'm just kind of embarrassed. And say, well, you need to, because the pastor's really the one who can help you. The pastor can get 100 people helping you instead of just one. That's where you need to go. So send them, that way. Anyways, I'm out of time for this, but I hope this helps make some sense and help you navigate some social situations. Please like, comment, or share. If I missed anything, I am running out of time, so whatever I've missed, please feel free to add it in the comments, and we'll go from there.